Shoni, thankwe Shoni, thee to the wolf spirit singers, thank you. Good morning, Bomete. English, Okwesan.
Spirit wolf.
Spirit wolf singers, thank you. Please make welcome to help us start well and good and with respect for ourselves, for each other, and for the land that we've been invited to help us open in that way. Please welcome my dear friend, Chancellor of the University of Ottawa, Elder Claudette Commanda.
Morning. Come on, I want to hear exuberant excitement. Good morning. Right on. And now we're going to say good morning in Anishinaabe language. Kwe sheba, minogi shagun. And now we're going to say it en français. Bonjour tout le monde. Okay, now we're going to say it again in Anishinaabe language, right? Kwe niwichkiwedug. Keith, Mr. President, you're always the president. Miigwech, it's always a pleasure, always a blessing to see you, my dear good friend. First, I want to begin by acknowledging the beautiful, beautiful song that blessed us to do the opening of this day, and I want to give acknowledgement to these fine gentlemen, Spirit Wolf singers, Miigwech, Onje, Chimino, Nogomowin. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Give them a round of applause. What a fantastic way to open a meeting, is it not? What a fantastic way to begin your day. When we hear the voice of Mother Earth through that drumbeat, when we hear the song that the Creator has blessed our ancestors and been passed on since time immemorial, that is power, that is a blessing, and that is truly a gift of love from the Creator to our peoples, and we are so thankful for this. Again, boys, thank you so much. I've known these gentlemen ever since they were little boys, and they are fine young men. And again, thank you so much. Keep up that good work. I'm always proud of you. Absolutely, I am. I thank you, Christine, for inviting me to be here to give words of welcome and a prayer. I thank NACCA, this beautiful organization that does so much, for inviting me to be here with you and to also respecting the protocols of the Algonquin people, Chimiigwech. I acknowledge the leaders, the elders who are here. I acknowledge all the community leaders. I acknowledge our federal leaders. I acknowledge all the leaders. I acknowledge our women. I acknowledge our men. I acknowledge the youth. We acknowledge one another. Kani Mitch Kishigun Kinun Edishinakaz Kitagan Zibi Donjaban. Miigwech Niwich Kibedug. Miigwech Kibija Goma Nongum. Pijajikoma Nishnabeyaki, O Mama Wenenewag. I greet each and every one of you beautiful people, my relatives from coast to coast to coast. I greet you with love and with kindness and with appreciation and admiration. And on behalf of the Algonquin Nation and on behalf of my community of Kitagan ZB, my family, and our ancestors, O Mama Weneniwag, Ni Jenwen Daganag, Anishinaabe, we welcome each and every one of you, beautiful people, to this unsurrendered, unceded homeland of the Algonquin people. And we know that no matter where our homelands are, from coast to coast to coast, It continues to be unsurrendered, unceded. We share our land, but our land still remains that gift that the Creator has given our people. For we need our land to ensure our children have their right. And we are who we are accordingly to our land. Nindaki is so important. Bienvenue tout le monde. Bienvenue ici à la territoire non cédé de nous ancêtres la nation algonquin. Mon nom c'est Claudette Commanda. Je suis une femme algonquin de la Première Nation de Kitagan-Zibi. So I'm always honored and I'm always proud to bring forth a welcome greeting on behalf of the ancestors of this land and the people of this land. And as I acknowledge the first ancestors of this land, I acknowledge the ancestors of Indigenous peoples from coast to coast to coast in this country called Canada. I acknowledge everyone, all of your ancestors. But for our ancestors, we would not be here. Our ancestors continue to pray for us, they continue to guide us, and they continue to love us. And we too have that responsibility to continue to pray, to continue to guide, to continue to love. Let us show that kindness and that love to one another, for it is that love and that kindness that our children so rightfully deserve. And we know that in today's day and age, and is what our elders of long ago have told us, those that are no longer here with us, but they are now in that spirit world, that there will come a day that we must unite even stronger, for our children will depend on it, because there will be times, hard times in this world. And we know that and we see that. But we're thankful that we still have the drum. We're thankful we still have the singers. We're thankful we still have our ceremonies. We're thankful we still walk on that path of wisdom and lead that life accordingly to the Creator who has blessed us with our 7 original instructions, which we call the 7 grandfathers. And let's uphold the sacred laws of the Creator. I ask each and every one of you at this time that we put our hearts together, we put our minds together, we put our love together and our spirit together with that one voice to give thanks to Creator. For those that would like to stand as these words of prayer is being said, you are welcome to stand. For those that want to remain seated, please remain seated. For when we are in our lodges and our prayers, we remain seated close to our Mother, the Earth. But for those that want to stand, you're more than welcome. Let's put our hearts, our minds, and our spirit together as one. And let's give thanks to the Creator. And if you have a prayer for a family member, a colleague, a friend, or even for yourself, please say that prayer. For the Creator has given us responsibilities, including the responsibility to take care of ourselves, and that it is okay to pray for ourselves in that good way. I ask my sister Christine to come stand with me. No one's left behind. Let's make this circle. Let us make this circle of love, and let us show the Creator the goodness that He has blessed us with by saying, Chi miigwech gishiminado, miigwech kinakego. And abagis kokumisag and abagis mishomsag das pinigen. Nibuksendam. We do kawa do the winonje no go mashish wabang NACCA Forum. Gishiminado. Chimigwa jonji, ikwe wag shishinin wag. Kichimigwa jonji. Zagi Edwin. Migwej ni jenwen daganog, kichimigwej atsokan. Migwej. Migwej kishiminado kichimigwej onje jojo aki. Kokomas tepekizis ashishmishomis kizis. Gishiminado ni buksenda monje kakina no gomashishwabang minopamadzwin. Ni bakawin. Chiminotagazuin. Ashish. Zagi Edwin, ni bakawin. Creator, as we come together as brothers and sisters in this sacred circle, we give you thanks for all of your blessings. We thank you for the beautiful gift of the drum and the gift of the singers. We thank you for our Mother, the Earth, for she provides for us each and every day. Jojo eki, chimiwe jonje nibi, aki, ishkude ashishnodin. We thank you, Creator, as we thank our Mother, the Earth, for always providing from that water life, the land, the wind, and the fire. As we honor and give thanks to the greatest grandparents that you have blessed all peoples of the world with, our grandmother, the moon, whose nightlight shines upon us, so we may see our sister, the stars. And as we give thanks to our grandfather, the sun, whose breath warms us each and every day and lights up the beauty of all of your creation. Chimigwaj. We give thanks to our ancestors, Nijenwendaganag, and how we call them in our languages, and all those spirit helpers Atsokan from the beginning of time, and we thank them for always being with us. We thank our ancestors and our loved ones who are in the spirit world for their love. We thank them for guiding us. And Creator, we ask you to tell each and every one of our ancestors, each and every one of our relatives, and all of our peoples who are here in this physical world, those that do not hear us, those that do not see us, those of our relatives who are out in the streets, those who are of our relatives that do not have their freedom, please let them know that we pray for them and that we love them. We thank our grandmothers and the grandfathers of the four directions, and may they come into this meeting to bless this circle today and tomorrow, and to continue blessing the organization, NACCA, and all their leaders and all their communities to continue doing this good work. My prayer for all the people who are here, Creator, bless them with good words to be spoken. Chiminotagazuin, bless them, Creator, with wisdom. Nibakawin, bless them, Creator, with strength. Mashkawi was in. Bless them, Creator. Minupamadzuin, that good life. And may today and tomorrow, as the people gather here, live that good life in words, in wisdom, with caring and sharing. And may we come together in this beautiful circle of life for our children who are here today and the 7 generations who will come. Creator, we thank you. We thank you for year. We thank you, Creator, for hearing all of our prayers with that one heart, one mind, one spirit, and one voice as we say to you, Creator, Kizagian. We love you, our Creator. Miigwech. Thank you. Miigwech. Take good care. Enjoy your day, enjoy your tomorrow, and keep on doing that good work. And I know that you are all leaders. Continue being those good leaders. Thank you, my brothers. Thank you, my sisters. Thank you, my elders. Thank you, my leaders. Chimigwech. I love you all, and we need to say that to one another, because hope is free, and so is love. Kizagian. Let's say that together. Kizagian. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Because when we say that word, we love our Creator, we love our ancestors, and we love our land, and we love one another, and keep on doing that good work. Miigwech. Thank you. Miigwech. Thank you, please.
Kweshoni Shoni San to the Spirit Wolf Singers for that honor song. How do we do this? How do we move about this world of paper money, this new way of doing commerce without falling all the way into that capitalist mentality? I believe it's this. It's bringing in and always remembering why we are doing this work toward economic prosperity and economic sovereignty. Shonithan Kweshronidi. Good morning, bonjour. Thank you so much again to the Spirit Wolf Singers for starting us well. Elder Claudette Commanda for getting the energy up as well and getting us thinking, changing the channel. As Auntie Hazel tells me all the time, you got to change the channel. Start thinking dun K is how we call our way in Whitehorse, Yukon. I come from I'm a citizen of the Ta'anquechan Council in what is known modernly as Whitehorse, Yukon. We share the land with the Kwanlin Dun First Nation. I am a Wolf Clan citizen. And I am very happy to be welcomed here onto unceded Algonquin territory. I do not welcome you in that sense because I'm not of this land. And I hope that the way I'm walking shows that I'm walking with respect. When I was asked to come here to do this job, I asked Joel, and I said, can you please call the nation and ask them if it is quite okay that I do this? And he did do so, and I appreciate that because it's very important to me. And it's very important to the people who taught me that I'm not walking around this country called Canada acting like I'm First Nations to every part of it. I would like very much to be able to show respect to my hosts, as I was taught. Okay, thank you. I hope that we're all feeling like our circadian rhythms have matched up to Gatineau time. We had a really big day yesterday at the general manager's meeting, got a lot of work done, and we've got a lot of work ahead of us today. So first of all, we've got the silent auction is still going, and it does close tonight at the gala, so you're going to want to get in there, get your bids in. There's some beautiful pieces, and what's been added, if you were here yesterday, what's been added since yesterday is Heather Murphy's painting, the one that she was working on last night at the reception to commemorate the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit relations. And that painting is now on display and is up for bid. I had a little bit of a kind of a casual bet with our stage manager yesterday of which one of us would start crying first, but I think it might be me because I'm sitting in this feeling of incredible abundance right now, looking out at this idea of Indigenous prosperity. Last night in Whitehorse, Yukon, my hometown, they hosted the Arctic Inspiration Awards, and some beautiful prizes were awarded to some really great organizations, including the NWT project, The Land Remembers, and in the Yukon, the Southern Lakes Caribou in the schools. And I know there's some work around around here that people are involved in with bringing back the buffalo. In the Yukon, our very big concerns that match that are the caribou and the salmon, amongst other wildlife. So having had a conversation at the reception last night with some of our visitors from Australia, I was reminded that not too long ago, we were not in this abundance. And I'm talking about my mom's generation. So I am feeling an incredible amount of gratitude to everybody who has worked in here and to those who worked who couldn't sit in the abundance. When I talk about faith, it is working for results that you may not see in your lifetime. And I don't think anyone knows that more than Indigenous people. So as the daughter of someone who worked very hard to bring this reality about for us and couldn't really stay in this world to appreciate it, I say thank you to all of you who have worked through this for us. My heart is full. My heart is full. Coming up today, we have some panels on global Indigenous economies, but first we're going to hear some opening remarks from the Honourable Rebecca Alty, Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you very much, Christine. And I was excited to see the winners of the Arctic Inspiration Prize, including one from my home territory, and look forward to the great work that they're doing to be able to continue. They received $500,000 to continue the great work that they're doing. So a great program if you haven't heard about it. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for the warm welcome, and thank you for that kind introduction. I'm honored to join you on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. Thank you, Elder Claudette, for opening us in a good way. Thank you to the Spirit Wolf singers. As mentioned, my name is Rebecca Alty. I'm the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations and the Member of Parliament for the Northwest Territories, and I make it home as much as I can, most of the time about twice a month, but I'm really missing the drum dances that open many of our sessions up in the Northwest Territories. I also want to acknowledge the Honourable Nanaia Mahuta, who formerly served as New Zealand's Minister of Foreign Affairs. She was at the First Nations Major Projects Conference in Toronto on Friday. I had the opportunity to meet her there, and then again on Monday at the Australian delegation's open house, and then again today. So, as well as Anna Jane Edwards and Kate Russell from the Supply Nation Australia. I know we have more who have joined us from Australia and New Zealand, Maori peoples. So thank you again for joining us. It's a long journey, and we really appreciate you being here. I want to begin by congratulating the National Aboriginal Capital Corporations Association on your 30th anniversary. 3 decades of work by your organization and by national networks of Indigenous financial institutions, helping Indigenous businesses start, grow, and succeed. Over that time, Indigenous financial institutions have issued more than $3.56 billion in loans, supporting over 54,000 First Nations, Inuit, and Métis entrepreneurs, and strengthening communities across the country. That's a record to be proud of. This forum comes at a critical moment in our shared history. The world is changing fast. Trade relationships are shifting. Countries are looking inward. The old rules don't hold the way they used to. And as you know better than most, that's creating real pressure, disrupting supply chains, slowing investments, and causing layoffs. Indigenous people and all Canadians are feeling it every day. But while the challenges are real, so too are the opportunities. And the question in front of us all is, how do we respond? And our answer is clear. We have to come together. We build in partnership, and we build an economy that is stronger, more resilient, and more independent. Indigenous peoples are not bystanders in this effort. They're shaping the economy through partnership, shared ownership, and participation in the major projects and industries we need to drive growth and prosperity for everyone. To support this work, we've invested $40 million over 2 years through the Major Projects Office and the Strategic Partnerships Initiative to support consultation and capacity building as major projects move forward. As those projects advance, access to capital is critical. NACCA and the Indigenous Financial Institutions Network help position First Nations as owners, partners, and suppliers. Others, such as the First Nations Finance Authority, are central to this goal as well. The authority has now surpassed $4 billion in financing, supporting nearly 200 First Nations. While major projects often involve large firms, we can't overlook the critical work of small and medium-sized Indigenous businesses. The companies providing trucking, maintenance, environmental monitoring, and other essential services in mining, forestry, and beyond. This is where NACCA and the Indigenous Financial Institutions Network play a critical role. You're a key pillar in the ecosystem, supporting Indigenous businesses from startup to scale up, and your work strengthens the Canadian economy as a whole. And that support adds up. Today, Indigenous people contribute $48.9 billion to Canada's GDP every year, driven by a new generation of Indigenous entrepreneurs. Federal entrepreneurship programs continue to help them navigate the real barriers they face: access to capital, access to markets, and the ability to grow. Last year, Indigenous Services Canada and NACCA implemented a historic 10-year funding agreement valued at over $513 million, the first of its kind for an economic development program. It provides long-term stability and builds on a track record of results. That momentum is continuing. In 2024-25, Indigenous financial institutions issued 1,142 loans valued at $176 million. Beyond financing, we see important opportunities through procurement and building supply chains, whether supporting projects of national interest or delivering critical infrastructure and housing. Indigenous businesses bring real capacity and experience to the table. I also want to recognize the leadership of the First Nations Procurement Authority, including its work on initiatives such as the Alto High-Speed Railway, which are helping Indigenous businesses participate more fully in major projects across Canada. Access to bonding remains a genuine challenge for First Nations contractors. Budget 2025 recognized this barrier, and that recognition is now driving concrete action. Work is underway to explore a bonding and surety pilot that would remove barriers for qualified firms to compete for contracts. We're also amending the First Nations Financial Management Act to allow special purpose vehicles supported by a federal loan guarantee, expanding the tools available to support Indigenous participation in large projects. As NACCA marks the 30th anniversary, this is a moment to recognize how far we've come and to look ahead at what we can build together. So thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your continued commitment to Indigenous entrepreneurship. I look forward to continuing this work with you, building an economy that's inclusive and supports prosperity for generations to come. Thank you, merci beaucoup, and masicho.
Shoni San to the Honourable Rebecca Alty, Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations. Next, we welcome Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, Minister Rebecca Chartrand. The Honourable Rebecca Chartrand is the first First Nation woman to hold the federal minister role in Manitoba and the first Indigenous woman to hold the Northern and Arctic Affairs Ministry. Please welcome the Honourable Rebecca Chartrand.
Good morning. Bonjour, Tanseanin, Wapanuni Koyandishnakas, Wabashke Maingan Dutem, Pine Creek, Duck Bay, Volgarden, Dunji, Winnipeg, Utanang. So I want to thank Claudette, Elder Claudette Commanda, for your opening prayer, CEO Shannin Metatawabin, I had to learn that one, President Keith Matthews, and to everybody here that's representing entrepreneurship, Indigenous entrepreneurship across the country. So happy to be here as a fellow entrepreneur. Before I got into politics, I was running my own business as well, Indigenous Strategy Alliance, something that I really enjoyed doing. But I'm here now and happy to be in front of you. So thank you for that introduction, Christine, and thank you to my fellow Minister Alty, also Rebecca. There's two Rebeccas in the house. It's a pleasure to serve with Minister Alty, who is also from north of 60, so thank you. So I also want to acknowledge that we're gathered here on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe. I too am Anishinaabe. I am Innu and Métis from Treaty 4 territory. My office at the Confederation Building is facing out towards the Kichisibi. And when I think about that, it reminds me that this country was built on Indigenous lands, but not always with the prosperity that we had in mind. And I think that's starting to change. So when we think about what's happening today with Indigenous entrepreneurs, leaders, and builders, we're part of that change that's happening now in unprecedented times. And so when we think about Indigenous entrepreneurships, we're not just thinking about building businesses, we're thinking about rebuilding communities and nations. We're thinking about generations past and the generations in front of us that will directly benefit from the work that we're doing. So I thank you for all of that work, because some of us are brought to this work not thinking just about profit, but about change, the type of social change that we're needed in our communities. And so you're not only entrepreneurs, I recognize, but you are the problem solvers of the issues that we're dealing with in our communities. And right now we're at a turning point. The world is becoming more uncertain, more competitive, and more fragmented. So Canada is focused on what it is that we can control. We're focused on building stronger, more independent, and more resilient economies, not only for Canada, but back at home. And that is what this spring economic update is all about. It's about building Canada strong. And in the North, that work is already underway. As Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, I oversee CanNor, which is the engine for Northern entrepreneurship. And so we're here to support Indigenous economic growth. That means I'm there to clear barriers, to accelerate investment, and to ensure that we're supporting entrepreneurs north of 60. So in the North, all of that work is already underway. The Government of Canada made an announcement to invest $35 billion in northern infrastructure a couple weeks ago in energy and in economic development. And I want to be clear about what that means. It means real work, procurement for your businesses and the businesses that are yet to come in the North. It also means work for construction, infrastructure, transportation and logistics, clean energy and electrification so that we can finally get northern communities off of diesel. It also means defense supply chains, procurement, housing, food systems and services. And we're putting in the tools to make sure that Indigenous businesses can access those opportunities. For example, through CanNor, and our partners, the Canada Strong Fund, Canada's first national sovereign wealth fund, will invest billions in major projects and ensure Canadians, including Indigenous communities, have an opportunity to what's at stake. When we think about the Major Projects Office, they are advancing nation-building initiatives, unlocking $125 billion in investments to create tens of thousands of jobs. And initiatives like the Regional Defense Investment Initiative are opening doors for Northern and Indigenous businesses to participate in the defense supply chains. So at this time, we're building the workforce to deliver, and we're also advocating to ensure that procurement, especially in the North, is driven by Indigenous participation. We want to ensure that when we're thinking about building Team Canada Strong, especially in the North, that we have Indigenous entrepreneurs at the center of that. We are training and hiring up to 100,000 skilled trades workers, creating new pathways for young people, including youth, to participate in this growth. And the projects themselves are transformative. Last week, I announced that we are investing $13 million in a few of the projects in Nunavut. For example, Grays Bay Road and Port, the Iqaluit Hydro. We're also seeing investments in the Mackenzie Valley Highway, the Arctic Economic Corridor, and of course, being from northern Manitoba, I can't forget the Port of Churchill. So this is not incremental change. This is nation building. It's generational change that we have been waiting for in the North. And here is what is different at this time. A number of these projects will be Indigenous-led. They will be Indigenous-owned, and they will be Indigenous-driven. So we are seeing Indigenous governments, development corporations, and entrepreneurs at the table from the very beginning, not just participating, but shaping, owning, and leading these projects. So I want to speak directly to all of the entrepreneurs in this room. This is your moment. This is a pivotal moment where capital is being deployed, where projects are moving, we're getting behind you. The demand and the support for Indigenous participation is growing. And when we think about the north of 60, somebody who grew up in the South being south of 60 and Treaty 4, what I recognize is the huge opportunity that Indigenous rights holders north of 60 have in ensuring that they are central to the projects, because they manage the regulations. So nothing can move forward in the North without participation of Indigenous peoples. And under the modern treaties, we're seeing that, the regulations were born out of those modern treaties. And so it's quite exciting in the North in terms of, ensuring that we're moving projects at a speed like we've never seen before, because the opportunities are there and people are getting behind those timelines where we need to move forward. So when we think about where we're going then, that's why partnerships with NACCA are important, and that's why our government is doubling the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program from $5 billion to $10 billion. This is going to unlock capital and support for Indigenous ownership in major projects. It's about economic growth, sovereignty. It's about ensuring that we follow the visions that are in this room for each part of the country where you're from. And it's about creating jobs and communities so that we can finally see the future that we envisioned when we signed those original treaties. Mutual benefit, mutual obligation, and mutual prosperity for all. So Canada's future is being built right now, not just in the boardrooms, but in your communities, on the land. And it's clear that Indigenous entrepreneurs are not just participants for the future, you're shaping it. Together, we're going to keep removing those barriers. We're going to keep unlocking capital because we are building Canada strong together. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Chartrand, the Honourable Rebecca Chartrand, Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, and thank you, Shoni Thun, for reminding us of the power that we have, the people north of the 60th parallel. Sometimes when you're looking at that map of Canada, when it shows up in national publications or, in the packages you receive, there's just a whole bunch of information and data across the provinces, and then just a whole bunch of nothing north of the 60th parallel. And we know we are powerful people and we have a say in everything that is happening there. Kweshro ni. When you come to these kinds of events, a lot of things can happen within a day. So I feel like I'm talking about some old friends, even though I just met them yesterday. So when I introduce you as my old friend, know that that's what is happening. Please welcome next Chief Executive Officer and my dear friend, Chief Executive Officer of NACCA, Shannin Metatawabin.
Good morning, everybody. Kitchimingwich beji to tegota. Tibicha nagaskachigik. Tibichana mutamik, Tandigidu chagatek chanakatanoch. Banahit the son. In an Auguste. Kawinakataja kupimmat the sono. Chigiminamata sichik. Missway guy pachagota. Abatasogenago. Chiguet etagocha. Shunyan. I amend the mon. Miss Sway, Chigi, Nakatano, Panetason, Kichimigas Mitchi, Miss Sway Bidges take Bitabe Undochi. So my name is Shannin Metatawabin. I'm the CEO for NACCA. I've been with NACCA almost 10 years now. And within that 10 years, we have done some wonderful things. And without a strong board, and if I can just maybe get the board to stand up, because we're here for networking. I think everybody wants to make sure that we meet each other, that we get to know each other, that we begin to build trust and build partnerships. You're going to hear a lot about the partnerships that are being created right now throughout the next 2 days. But if I can get the board to stand up, let's get them recognized, please. Please stand up. Got Elaine, got Tina, got Keith. I know Jack is here, Olivier. So those are our board members. Please approach them. Please share with them your story, the things that you need, and we always are trying to expand what we're doing. We have a very strong team at NACCA. The ministers just announced that in 2024 they provided support to our IFI network, And with that support, we've already seen an increase in lending of 60%. By providing the capital and the supports for our network, we're already seeing that the network is able to deploy that capital to Indigenous entrepreneurs that were waiting for it. Our IGF, that is an integral part of that capital stream, has seen an increase in capital being deployed to the IFIs. Our programs support that capital. And 60%, so it's gone from 109 to 176 million. So for the first time ever, we've deployed $176 million in a year. Now that capital doesn't just impact that entrepreneur. That capital impacts the community. That capital impacts the region, and it starts to create that economy within that region. That capital is going to be so important to the government's new priority of the one economy, unlocking major projects within our traditional territories, which can't be done without us, by the way, but it can be done with us. If we have a share of that prosperity, if we stand up our entrepreneurs to plug in and support those major projects, that's what's going to really show success. We did a study that showed that the impact, and this was Jack at IBC, by giving an Indigenous person an opportunity at entrepreneurship and a business, there's a 20% increase in health indicators, 52% increase in mental health indicators, and 72% life satisfaction. Better home security, better food security, income for Canada, GDP impact of $12.7 billion throughout the network's life, and 181,000 jobs that we've measured to date. But that doesn't measure the ripples of that impact. So we're doing great things here at NACCA, and we're planning for great things into the future. I want to thank you for attending the Indigenous Prosperity Forum. You're going to hear some great information, some great speakers over the next couple of days, and I welcome you and encourage you to come forward and share your story and speak with our board and our staff. Miigwech.
Shoni Than, Kweshoni Di, Chimigwech to Shannin Metatawabin for those incredible words. We do have so much to be proud of as we celebrate 30 years of soaring. The theme is soar, and you can definitely feel it from up here. Next up, we welcome Chair of NACCA, Keith Matthew.
Good morning. Wide Kokoidep, Keith Matthew and Squext. I said in my language, hello, my relatives. It's good to see you. I would like to also say bonjour, mesdames, messieurs. Where's Olivier? He never coached me on the en français part of my speech, so I need to really work on that part, but I promise you I will. I'd like to recognize Elder Commanda. She is a credit to Kedaganzibi and the Algonquin Nation. Elder Commanda and myself worked together years and years ago. I was the chair of our Cultural Centers movement here in Canada, and she was our executive director, and I'm forever indebted to her and the work that she's done on behalf of all of our communities from coast to coast to coast. I'd also like to thank the Spirit Wealth Singers for the honor song and the other songs that they helped start our morning in a good way. And I'm constantly reminded that our life is about ceremony. It's about how we honor our ancestors, how we work to help our people today, and how we look to the future. And this weekend, I had the opportunity to work with my niece, who we rebuilt our sweat lodge on our property back in my home community. And very grateful for her leadership. Her name is Cheryl Matthew, and she's working really hard to bring back our language, our culture, our history in my community, and we need to celebrate who we are on a regular basis. So I just need to say that. I'd like to thank as well Minister Alty. Your chief, Prime Minister Carney, is blazing the path for us. We will help deliver the goods for this government, but we all have to work together. And we have to be mindful of our communities that we're working for and the access to capital that we need as Indigenous financial institutions to help deliver those goods for Prime Minister Carney. I'd also like to thank Minister Chartrand for being here this morning and speaking about the issues in the North. And the issues in the North are our issues as Indigenous people. Again, my name is Keith Matthew. I'm the chair for the Board of NACCA. And I would like to thank the Algonquin Nation for allowing us to gather on their territory. I'd also like to say on behalf of NACCA and the Indigenous Financial Institution Network, it's my honor to welcome you to SOAR, the 2026 Indigenous Prosperity Forum. This year is especially meaningful as we celebrate 30 years of NACCA. Please, applause. "30 years of helping our people get off welfare and get out of that welfare trap that our people have been working so hard to get out of. And I know everyone in the room today is working to the best of your ability to do that. And I won't be satisfied until our people have homes, until they have a job, they've got the training, and they have access to capital so they can start up their own businesses and do the things that are necessary to support themselves and their families. You know, and I need to also recognize our relatives from across the world in the room today. Thank you for joining us today. It's good to see you here. We've got so much that we can share together. And I think as we know from our efforts to battle colonialism, this is one of the key planks, is making sure that we can help each other. In our way of thinking, one of our cultural laws, there's a couple of cultural laws that I'm reminded of this morning, that we never take more than we need for ourselves. That's one of them. That we always make sure that our visitors to our lands have enough food, they've got a place to stay, they feel welcome and safe. And the other cultural law that we have in my nation, the Shuswap Nation back home in British Columbia, and others that you see around the room, we especially take great pride in, if we have more than enough, that we share what we have with those people who are less fortunate than ourselves. And that means either providing them with food, shelter, clothing, or our knowledge. There's a knowledge transfer that has to happen. So we're working very hard to do that in our communities. And I'm very, very proud to say that NACCA is one of those leaders in that particular area. Our theme this year, SOAR, reflects something powerful. It speaks to rising above challenges, moving forward with strength, vision, and purpose. It reflects not only where we've been, but where we're going. And we want to do that together, because no person in our mind gets left behind. That cultural law that I spoke to, no one gets left behind. Today, 51 Indigenous financial institutions serve entrepreneurs in every province and territory, providing not just access to capital, guidance, mentorship, and culturally grounded support. Because we know that success is not built on funding alone, it's built on trust, relationships, and community. And yet, what makes this network truly special is its closeness to the people it serves. It understands that when Indigenous entrepreneurs succeed, communities thrive. Over the coming days, you'll hear stories of innovation, resilience, and leadership from across sectors and across the country. You'll also help shape what comes next as we continue to build the tools, partnerships, and opportunities needed for Indigenous prosperity to rise even higher. Whether you're joining us from an Indigenous financial institution, a nation, government, or the private sector, thank you for being here. Your presence matters, your voice matters. Thank you to our partners for walking this road with us. And there's a number of our partners here today. Please share your credit cards with everyone. Break out of your groups that you're sitting with and meet someone today and really try to network. That's one of the most important parts of what we're doing here today, is getting to know each other. Also, let this forum inspire us to keep rising, to keep building, and to keep working together so that the Indigenous prosperity continues to soar. Last week I was in Toronto at the Major Projects Conference. And in my community, we take that work very, very seriously. So we developed a consultation accommodation framework that spoke to Haida and Taku River Supreme Court of Canada decisions. We met with West Coast Environmental Law as a Shuswap Nation and developed that framework. And as a result of that work that we did on the ground with purpose, I helped negotiate an agreement in my community that was worth $600 million. That's real money. It's found money. And that $600 million, we used those $600 million of contracts to help our people achieve some of the goals that we've set for ourselves. And what eventually happened over 3 or 4 years during the construction of a pipeline that we are part of, we did $1.7 billion worth of economic activity through our development corporation. Those are the kinds of things that we can do. So when Prime Minister Carney talks about major projects, about Bill C-5 and those things, we're the partners that he's looking for. And we need to really focus our efforts in making sure that they hear our voices, and we're here to help you do that. So, to have 2 ministers here this morning is a major achievement. Years ago, we would struggle to get the ear of government. Now, they're one of our most committed partners, and we recognize them and thank them for having the trust. And, when they're asking about returns on investment and how do we justify that, they're talking our language because we understand it. And we can meet those demands that they're putting on us because we've got brilliant young people in the room. And I want to ask the members of our Youth Council to stand up, please. Right here. Chad, please, come on, man, stand up. In 1969, when my dad was the chief of my community, the Indian agent came up to him and they asked him, well, what do you want to do about education? And my dad and my mom were products of the Kamloops Indian Residential School. And my dad was trained as a rancher. My mom was trained as a homemaker. And my dad was one of the founding members of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, one of the most powerful political organizations of the day. And my dad answered our Indian agent, and I won't put his name out there, but he said, we're never going to send our kids back to the residential school system. And for my community and other communities in British Columbia, that was the beginning of Indian control of Indian education. That was the beginning of us asserting our jurisdiction and right over education. We had one high school graduate in 1969 in my community. The young people that you see here today and others who have worked so hard to get their business degrees, their law degrees, all of those important things that are building blocks for wealth in our community. I have no doubt in my mind when we talk about succession that we're going to leave this place and they're going to take over all the work that we've done and all the work that my father and his leaders did in 1969. And that's so incredibly important. We stand on the shoulders of giants. I know I'm a recovering politician. I spent 10 years on council. And I love a mic, obviously. But I'll leave you with one thing. One of the Cookbees, or chiefs in the Syilx Nation, Okanagan Nation, who are our relatives. And his name is, you might know of him, his name is Chief Clarence Louis. And one of his favorite sayings is that the economic horse pulls the social cart. We need business to support us rebuilding our language, our history, our culture. To me, that's what that means. And I just want to say welcome and enjoy the Indigenous Prosperity Forum. Cookstam, all my relations.
I don't know. What's that? I don't know if non-Indigenous money people get together in a room like this and feel the way I'm feeling right now, just listening to all of these remarks this morning, and we haven't even really gotten started. We're just on the opening remarks. This is such an incredible place to be in our lives and in this shared interest of Indigenous economic prosperity and sovereignty. And it brings to mind the words of Vine Deloria Jr., who said, if you want to be sovereign, you got to act sovereign. And that's what this action is. Kwashroni the Shoni Than to everyone who opened this morning, and thank you to Keith Matthew, Chair of the Board of NACCA. And thank you to the sponsors who helped to make this possible. TD Bank, EDC, Futurepreneur, and Fern Software, BDC, Alto, and FCC. We have the vendor market that is open coming up. We're going to have a break soon, shortly, and then over lunch you can go over to the vendors market. And then AFOA Canada sponsored the opening night reception last night. Please welcome, ahead of our panel discussion, keynote speaker from the Honourable Nanaia Mahuta, former Māori Cabinet Minister from the Parliament of New Zealand. Shoni Than.
I ngā mana i ngā reo, i ngā iwi take o te whenua honu nei, tēnā koutou. All protocols observed to start us in a good way, thank you. In Aotearoa, New Zealand, we say this very simply as kia ora. So let me hear you say kia ora. It means be well. We roll our R's in New Zealand. Kia ora, one more time. Ka pai. Let me take a moment to recognise the spirit of this land and First Nations people on whose unceded territory we gather. To our hosts, distinguished guests, ministers, friends, I want to also acknowledge our brothers and sisters from Te Whenua Moemoeā, Australia, tēnā koutou katoa. I too am a recovering politician of some 27 years, so I know how to roll. And it wouldn't have bothered me at all if I had followed the panel that are here before you. I won't take long, but let me say that it's a privilege to stand with you at this gathering convened by NACCA as we discuss how our respective actions as Indigenous peoples create momentum for transformation and change that will strengthen our communities through economic participation, environmental responsibility, and social well-being. We share common ground because at the heart of this vision are our cultural values and a commitment to exercise a connected system of influence. Coming out of the 9th First Nations Major Projects Coalition, and the significant opportunities on the near horizon, we are in a moment that demands strategic focus and coordination of our intent. Your success is our success. Your lessons shared are our lessons learned. You see, while we reside in another part of the world, our corridors are connected. That connected corridor of opportunity, innovation, growth, and prosperity is the promise our ancestors dreamed of so we can build together. Far too often in our shared experience, we have considered finance and procurement as separate worlds, each operating in isolation from each other. On one hand, we see capital locked within its own system, on the other, procurement opportunity flowing in a different stream altogether. Yet we expect our Indigenous enterprises to skillfully navigate the space between, often without facilitation due to the disconnection that exists between finance and procurement systems. NACCA, what you are doing is a leading light for many of us around the world. Let me say this, what I've witnessed, whether in Canada, Aotearoa, or Australia, is a universal truth. When we fail to bring capital and procurement into true alignment, the momentum for Indigenous economic transformation staggers. By bridging these systems together to access both capital and finance provides opportunity on our own terms. Impactful change can be created by Indigenous businesses for families and communities, and we are hearing that this morning in the opening remarks. The lesson is clear. Alignment of finance and procurement is the catalyst to Indigenous economic self-determination and growth so that our families, our communities can reach their full potential. So we are here to support the journey you are taking, and we want to promote and learn from it. Intermediary organisations like Supply Nation and Amotai have demonstrated the power of demand-side transformation, creating pathways for Indigenous businesses into supply chains. Through their strong and committed relationships to fellow organisations, including NACCA, we have seen the benefit of the SME sector in Indigenous communities in our respective countries, which contribute both to local and regional growth. At the same time, Indigenous financial institutions brought together, such as what we are seeing here, are enabling access to capital, building capability, de-risking enterprise growth, and seeding further innovation for business development. But here is the tension. Access does not equal control within the economic system. Questions remain. Who decides which businesses scale? Who defines what investment really means? And whose values shape the flow of capital in contracts? We want to learn how combining finance and procurement can create real, lasting change for Indigenous communities and use these insights to help shape a better economic system that reflects Indigenous values within our own country. Back home in Aotearoa, some 8 years ago, we started our procurement journey to accelerate the benefits of Māori and Pasifika businesses, participating and contributing to local economies. At the time, government procurement policy was modelled on what was happening in Australia, and there were some critical learnings which Supply Nation and Amotai are here to speak about on the panel that follows. Today, I want to share thoughts on how the trajectory of Indigenous enterprise, aided by procurement and finance, can be a catalyst towards Indigenous trade participation. The mindset required to be a small business owner, often employing family and contributing to communities, are exactly about Indigenous growth and empowerment, and those same skills are required to trade. It's transformative and has intergenerational impact. Yes, procurement is a mechanism to grow enterprising families and the Indigenous ecosystem. Access to finance enables scale, innovation, strategic partnering, and/or trade-focused activities. If Indigenous trade is the next logical step, how might we consider Indigenous to Indigenous trade? What are the core values, architecture enablers, measures of what matters? And in a modern economy context, how might this be enhanced through tech, AI and digital platforms? Our research team, some of who are here present today, are working together under the banner of Tau Hoko Hoko, the Māori word used to convey the concept of reciprocity and, in a modern context, Indigenous trade practices. We've been exploring one simple proposition. What would it mean if for Indigenous peoples to not only participate in trade, but to define its values, its flows, and its beneficial outcomes within an Indigenous context that can be measured, valued, and supported as a critical step towards Indigenous economic resilience and self-determination? That was a mouthful, but it means something in this modern context because I think we are now looking around the world and extending our hands to reach out for partners. Last week at the 9th First Nations Major Projects Coalition in Toronto, we saw a powerful shift in Indigenous economic thinking. The focus is no longer just about being included in the existing system, but about leading and shaping how these systems reflect our values and hopes as Indigenous peoples. Yet we all know the path isn't simple. Even as more of us gain access to capital and take part in major projects, true authority over our economic future still escapes many Indigenous communities. Inclusion can be misleading. It might bring money, but without real control, it does not address deep-rooted inequalities. Many of our communities still face the same challenges that existed decades ago. It is our responsibility to move beyond just taking part. And we all know here today that we need to create systems that truly support Indigenous well-being, that ends poverty and builds lasting prosperity for future generations. Equity, ownership and authority, if at the heart of our shared journey, needs to deliver on the promise of our ancestors that the days of deprivation will end as we claim our ancestral birthright, mapping a way forward that is achievable and can be scaled to the advantage of our Indigenous brothers and sisters and families so that we can all move beyond economic reconciliation to economic resilience and continue to invest in our prosperity curve. It's vital that the benefits of economic development reaches every corner of our communities, the communities we serve. So we find that if we do not do this, we'll end up repeating the mistakes of the past, and I know none of us want to be in that position. As capital flow grows through loan guarantees, sovereign wealth aspirations, Indigenous investment bonds, we are reminded that capital is never neutral. Someone holds the risk. Debt will require management. Intergenerational well-being is more than an aim. It's a prerequisite to measure the impact of what Indigenous communities are capable of when they consolidate their focus, and the time is now. As was said previously, this is an important juncture in our journey as Indigenous peoples. Geostrategic challenges, conflict, crisis and climate change require a reset and reboot towards another way. We can see that global trade and the diplomatic system, as it exists today, was not designed with Indigenous peoples in mind. Its foundations are rooted in extraction, favouring scale over stewardship, speed over sustainability, wealth accumulation over redistribution, power consolidation, and capital above community. It defines value in ways that overlook what matters most to us: respect, relationships, reciprocity, and our responsibilities to future generations. Our economic future requires more resilient features so that what we strive to achieve in our own nation, we lift up and learn from each other across the planet as Indigenous peoples. In our Te Ao Māori worldview, that is the tuakana taina concept. We learn, we share, we may falter, but we rise together. Your success is our success. So as we participate in existing trade settings, we seek out opportunities to build our own architecture based on Indigenous values. We do this because the current trade settings create barriers that are neither fair nor impartial to Indigenous peoples. Tau Hoko Hoko, our research collaboration project, seeks to answer just some of those substantial challenges to inform the next move of Indigenous trade, Indigenous equity investment, Indigenous economic inclusion that works for our whānau. The many, not the few. Like many Indigenous peoples, we work hard to secure a resilient and sustainable economic future for our grandchildren. The goal is to shape the future of opportunity and prosperity on our own terms, and it isn't just an ideal, it's something we can put into practice by making sure each key step helps us realise the full benefits of enterprising families. A broader base of Indigenous businesses that is being created and connecting around the world is important to a thriving ecosystem. And so the conversations that you will have throughout the day are an important opportunity to amplify, share, and ensure that we continue to build on the learnings. In Aotearoa, Māori trusts and incorporations lead the way, and iwi, through their treaty settlements, are investing strategically, aligning their values to intergenerational asset building. In Te Ao Māori, in our Māori worldview, trade is not merely a transaction, it's a relationship. We use the word tau hoko hoko, which goes beyond simple exchange to encompass responsibility, reciprocity, respect, and relationship. Trade from this perspective is not just about goods and services, it's about nurturing connections across generations. And you'll be familiar with the auntie-uncle concept and trade assessment when they say, oh, what do I have that you need? What might you have? What might I have that you need? What do you have that I need? Sorry. The old people wisdom stands in stark contrast to the global system. Imagine agreements shaped not just by GDP, but by well-being. And this isn't a fanciful notion, this is Indigenous praxis. I discovered in my former role as former Foreign Minister for New Zealand that the true essence of diplomacy is not about winning, it's about fostering trust, mutual respect, and shared benefit. Through a Māori perspective, I saw diplomacy transform from a contest of interests into a practice of stewardship, where Indigenous knowledge sits at the heart of relationships. And we can reach out across borders and we can have dialogue when it seems so difficult. There is always a place for diplomacy, and with Indigenous values, there will always be an opportunity to reach out and have dialogue. In my view, this approach opens the door to genuine global cooperation, and it is a model. It brings new tools for innovation into the diplomatic toolkit. If we're truly committed to building resilient futures, we need to go beyond simply participating in existing systems. We need a shift from a focus on ownership to a focus on influence. Rather than being concerned solely with what we hold, we should be shaping rules, values, and the direction of systems that we want to be a part of. We need to move from seeking short-term gain to prioritising intergenerational return. Our decisions and investments must be guided by the well-being of future generations, assuring our grandchildren inherit opportunity and prosperity on their terms from their ancestors. Also, we need a transition from isolated success to collective leverage, and again, as we look across the world to success models and ways of doing things, our achievements, we know, do not stand alone. Instead, they can uplift communities and examples in other countries with other Indigenous brothers and sisters because we are sharing our knowledge. The only agency we need is to share, learn, and build together. Transformation begins not with waiting for permission, but with intentional alignment, bringing together our knowledge, networks, relationships to design the future that our mokopuna our grandchildren deserve. The path forward is not just about inclusion, but about leading with Indigenous values, shaping systems that are productive, prosperous, regenerative, and rooted in responsibility to each other for generations and generations to come. We share story because our ancestors were not passive participants in their world. They were seekers, adventurers, navigators, innovators, designers of complex systems based on traditional knowledge and wisdom, which is revealed in how we govern, how we make decisions, how we trade, and how our diplomacy toolkit can be deployed in complex times. So I leave you with this final thought and call to action because, as I've said many times before, your success is our success. The values and principles required to build Indigenous economies that are productive and regenerative requires intentional alignment. We're here to learn, and thank you for this time. I'm taking a small saying from my ancestor, Kingi Tāwhiao, when he said, "Ki te kotahi te kākoho ka whati, ki te kāpuia e kore e whati." A single reed can be easily broken, but many reeds bound together are unbreakable. Thank you for giving me space to share today. E mihi ana ki a koutou katoa, pai marere. Kia ora.
Thank you to our keynote speaker, the Honourable Nanaia Mahuta, former Māori Cabinet Minister from the Parliament of New Zealand, sharing wisdom, hard-earned knowledge, including serving 27 years in the New Zealand Parliament. Talk about taking space. Kwishoni, the Shoni Than.